Remove us.
And you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we held at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watch were so gallant streaming, and the rockets red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof to the night that a flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
And now, boys and girls, let me hear you recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Since I was a small boy, 2 states have been added to our country, and 2 words have been added to the Pledge of Allegiance: under God. Wouldn't it be a pity if someone said that is a prayer and that would be eliminated from schools too?
They've torn Portland all to pieces and let Chicago go to hell. There's people leaving New York City like they rang the fire bell. They call themselves enlightened, cancel those who don't agree. I wish all these folks who claim they're woke would just go back to sleep. I'm just saying, have we all lost our minds? I'm just saying, where do we draw the line? I know y'all think it takes balls to be singing what I'm singing, but I'm just saying what you're thinking. I believe in live and live and live. We're all free to each their own. If you were born a he, but wanna be a she, do your thing, but leave my kids alone. I'm just saying, have we all lost our minds? I'm just saying, where do we draw the line? I know y'all think it takes balls to be singing what I'm singing, but I'm just saying what you're thinking. We send them off to college to get them educated. They send them back to us indoctrinated. And how much are we paying? I'm just saying. Have we all lost our minds? I'm just saying. Where do we draw the line? No offense, but common sense. The direction that I'm leaning. Some of y'all think it takes balls to be singing what I'm singing, but I'm just saying what you're thinking. Yeah, what you're thinking.
Happy Hump Day! Guess what, folks? You know Sally? You know me?
I'm not in the truck today.
I brought her out to my little humble abode, and we decided to do something totally different. I'm actually outside for the first time ever. And this is a nice change of scenery, by the way. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
Definitely. As always, I like to start, and I say this, I can't say it enough, but I pledge of allegiance to the Constitution of the United States of America and to the republic for which the flag stands, one nation under Almighty God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You know, I went to the school board meeting last night in Cameron.
How'd that go?
Well, I'll get to that, but I wanted to talk about the Pledge of Allegiance. You know, everyone says the Pledge of Allegiance, and I really was this close to doing it my way.
Wow.
And I'm just saying.
We're already rocking the boat. We're calling them out on their mess.
So yeah, folks, well, Sally is not too far from me right now, about 20 miles, visiting her sister, her daughter. I'm sorry. Yes.
We look like sisters.
True. The apple didn't fall far from the tree.
Yeah.
And so I asked Sally last night at 1, 2, 3 o'clock. I can't remember when it was. It was sometime last night. That. Yeah. No, actually, I was in bed by 12 last night. I do know that.
It was about 10, 11.
No, it was about 1 o'clock. Because I lost something. I had to go looking for something. Yeah, I was frazzled. No, a SIM card, scan card. Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. But you know, seriously, folks, I was at the school board meeting, and everyone, that's about the only minute or minute and a half that everyone is together.
Yeah, that's the way it should be.
Yeah. And we had, of course, people that are opposing what Heath Gilbert, Dan Landy, Colleen Hardy, Paula Allen, myself, so many people that are wanting to basically get the books that are pornographic in nature out of the libraries.
And they should.
And we have teachers who are bribing children to read them on TikTok. Tanya O'Boyle, that's a big shout out to you. Yeah. And so she's bribing these children to candy bars.
So
to read
she's
these
an
books.
indoctrinator, not an educator.
Yes, very much so.
Okay.
I
know
don't
who we're
know.
dealing with.
Just me. I didn't know Sally knew how to get out of the truck.
I didn't know I knew how to either.
You know, just me. I have to tell you, Sally is married to that truck, from what I can tell. And
pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. And you know, when you have a livelihood, like I call you the wheel of the nation. I used to be the wheel, but I could never say the wheel of the nation because you're across the nation everywhere. Is indoctrinating or this type of material in schools, is it around the other cities that you've gone to or that you've noticed?
Yes, it is.
And how do you feel about that?
I think it's sick. I really do. Our kids should maintain their innocence as long as they can because they're only young so long. So once you're an adult for a lifetime. Let your kids be children.
Yeah.
Let them have their innocent times. Let them figure out who they're going to be in society as adults.
Well, the fear on that might now I'm going to go take the devil's advocate on this. You can let them be as innocent as possible, but unfortunately, once they start school with other kids and the lifestyles of those other parents,
But that's where your character is formed.
it should be formed in your home.
Well, that's where it started. That's where you get your moral fibers.
Right.
But when you go out into the world, that's your first step into the world in a controlled environment to where you can develop your character from what your parents have taught you.
Right. And you can make those hopefully strengthen the respectful way of thinking is what I'm thinking. In other words, you listen to the teacher when they say be quiet, read a book, or whatever the assignment is, you just do it. But again, these kids see other kids and they just I don't know. I think they just pick up some of the bad stuff. And that's again where parents need to step in and say, "Whoa, where'd you learn that word at? We've never used that word in this house."
Yeah.
And so they get the bar of soap on the teeth, or whatever the punishment may be.
It's right on a hiney.
Yeah, and the bad part about this situation in Cameron is we've caught the administration in lies, in deceit, and even with this little speech that the president said last night at the end of closing, she couldn't face any of us who were fighting this cause. And all she kept, and all she did was address herself. Believe it or not, folks, school board people, they address themselves as if they're the victims. And if you listen to this piece, she's victimhood all the way.
Well, that's the left's agenda to make you think that you're attacking them. It's all in the verbiage.
And so they're trying to get the better part of the parents that really don't have a clue what's going on. And I mean, a lot of them don't. But they're beginning to wake up. They're beginning to see, and they're beginning to say, "Wait, this isn't right."
Yeah.
I met a sweet little lady last night, a Margaret Hubbard, and she's probably, ma'am, I'm going to say you're probably about 22 years old, but technically speaking, I'd say this elderly woman was closer to about probably in her early 70s, and she came to the meeting, and only because she didn't have anything else to do. But she actually was handing out flyers for the Constitution Party of a class to take to learn the Constitution.
And that needs to be done. More adults. I'm sorry, when you get into high school and you start learning your state history, your world history, your United States history, somehow or another, the parts of the Constitution is left out. And you don't remember them when you get over. So, refresher courses like this are things that need to be done by us adults.
Do you know?
I took one online.
Mm-hmm.
And, there were things in there that I didn't realize.
And the thing is, we can always learn more.
Yeah.
And that's the whole thing. The Constitution is only, what, 4,000 words.
Yeah.
It's not a big read by no stretch of the imagination.
Yeah.
It is written in Old English, or what would be considered Old King English to a degree. And so that makes it a little complicated to read, but technically speaking, it's an easy read.
It was written a specific way to be rock solid.
And not be questioned.
And that's, what people are wanting to do. I mean, it's like the governor in Arizona who is trying to do away with your Second Amendment rights.
Yep.
Oh, she's in hot water out there, folks.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, she's in hot water.
Yes, she is.
You cannot just go in and change the Constitution just because you think it's a public health hazard.
That was New Mexico, not Nevada,
No, okay.
Not Arizona, by the way.
Mexico,
Sorry.
I stand corrected. It was New Mexico.
Yeah, it's a New Mexico governor. And actually, the law enforcement wasn't going to back it at all. In other words, the sheriff's department said, nope, we're not going to do this. The police department said, nope, we're not going to do this. And even the state department, I believe the state trooper said, we can't do this. And yes, they did know exactly what they were doing when they wrote that. They were not idiots. In fact, they ranged in age, by the way, the 56 that actually signed the Declaration of Independence. They aged from 12 years old up to 84, I think was the oldest. 56 men. Several of them died. Several of them lost their fortunes for our freedoms.
That's right.
And this started, the bloodshed for America's freedom started again at the Revolutionary War,
yes,
which we don't really emphasize or talk much about. You know, Sally, the one thing I didn't do, may I please interrupt this?
Go right ahead.
I
It's
really
your show. Do what you want.
I really like my quotes. I forgot to put this down here, but I prefer dangerous freedom over peaceful slavery.
Yeah, me too.
Again, I'm going to read it. I prefer dangerous freedom over peaceful slavery. What does that tell you? What does that statement
It
perhaps
means
bring
I
to
would
you?
rather fight for freedom than die in peace as a slave.
And you know, folks, they're trying to condition
Oh,
our working class to the point that if you are lucky enough to have that good paying job, to hell with the rest of you.
Oh, yeah. You must comply.
And if you're filthy elite rich, you can take all these illegals that have illegal aliens, insurgents that have invaded our border, come across. I'd rather die on my feet than live on my knees. There you go.
Absolutely, Chad.
But then again, you sometimes you have to live on your knees to pray. You do have to take that moment to be humble. But I agree with you, Chad, on that. No doubt about it. But, you know, the thing is, they're making it where, like, the elites are going to be able to utilize. And I was listening to, gosh darn it, a comedian, Ralphie
May.
Ralphie May. He said it so well. Where are you going to find the white people to pick the fruits and vegetables in America? White people can't do it. Number one, their average height is 5'10". He made, and I'm actually stealing his material. But you're 5'10", bending over to 3 foot high. It's stressful on your back. Whereas with, as he puts it, the Mexicans, they just grab it because they're low enough to the ground. And you know, he made that point.
I will have to agree. Mexican people are a lot shorter than me.
Yes. But they can do it. Not only can they do a better job and a good job, but they're proud to do it. And they're happy to make that money.
They don't feel that it's beneath them.
Thank you. That's a very nice phrase, beneath them. Because so many of our white American kids that are working, and they're way too privileged. I see them, and I'm going to ask you this. When you pull into a truck stop, do you come across the young ones that you can just tell by looking at them, they're miserable at their job, they don't want to be there, and they basically have a hate for their parents because mommy and daddy told them they had to have a job.
Yep.
It's all over.
And if you're an old timer like me, I've been driving for 25 years. They think you're just absolutely a bumbling idiot.
Yeah, it's amazing.
I'm a bumbling idiot that's been doing this long enough to know my head from my wahoo.
Good to see you, Vincent. I started a new network due to people you told me to watch out for that stabbed me in the back. Well, I remember you, Don Corleone. You're up in Iowa. And I'm going to go on a stretch and say it was nice of you to reach out to me way back when dock workers are the worst with these kids.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I agree. I mean, I haul Walmart freight out of a DC to the stores. And most of the time I do well to make sure that all the freight gets to the right store because they don't like putting shrink wrap on pallets of, and the way they stack things, it's the damaged freight is just unreal.
Wow.
I mean,
and it's amazing. They probably put like the potato chip boxes on the bottom, and then they put, the kitty litter up on the top of it so it crushes the boxes.
Oh, yeah.
And I had and folks, you would appreciate this. It's called Getting a Message to Garcia, A Lesson in Excellence. It's a cassette. You can look it up online. Again, Getting a Message to Garcia, A Lesson in Excellence. And why am I bringing this up? Yes, it's a religious tape. There are parables from the Bible, but there are also life's experiences in it. And I'm going to share this one with you. The pastor came into a room where a man was working, and the man had taken half full boxes from the top, and he was told to move them over to the other side of the room. Well, he took the half full boxes on the top, and then he started loading full boxes on top of it. And the pastor said, I don't know if I can trust you to answer a phone.
True.
And that's sad. Walmart just throws it in a trailer and uses big cardboard sheets as dividers. Oh, wow. He hauled for them for 13 years. Don Corleone, please reach out. Let me know your network or your show. Definitely would like to reach out to you and say hi on there, by the way. And that's not just the kids. That's the computers telling them what's going on that pallet. Because they don't have common sense sometimes.
Common sense would tell you don't put 7 layers of almond milk at 1.5 gallons per case on top of 3 case high of salmon in a cardboard box.
Mm-hmm.
That's a horrible mess to clean up. I just did it last week.
I wouldn't want to clean up salmon.
No, it wasn't the salmon I had to clean up. It was the gallons of almond milk that spilled all over the trailer because it just flipped over.
Wow.
I mean, common sense would tell you that your heavy solids need to be on the bottom and your lighter, not so solid on top. That's not the case.
I didn't get to read that last one.
They said canned. No, they weren't canned. They were
and the people
frozen.
working at warehouses are running against a computer.
Yeah. They have a production or a pick line that they have. They have a pick quota.
Okay.
No, Just Me is saying that they have to work against the computer, and if they don't do it fast enough, they get canned. So that's what he put cans, and then he said canned.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oops,
it's not
sorry.
that it's not that they get canned. It's just they get their honeys chewed so much that they quit, because with Walmart, they will ride your backside till you quit because they don't want to pay unemployment. And sad truth.
And the other thing is, a lot of people are temporary and they fire them within 3 days of their 90-day or 180 if they're going through a staffing firm. Yeah.
Most of the time, they don't last 60 days.
True. They usually make it easy for you. The young kids are just so lazy. They're just going to say, in fact, I was listening to it, and I will be doing a podcast at a bar about an hour away. And I intend to do this because it's out in the middle of nowhere. And I was listening to a group of people, and one of the guys said, he actually had a guy say, I'm not looking for a full-time job. I just want to make enough money today to buy a bag of pot. That's what this kid said to him as he's asking for work. And
it's sad, but true.
I mean, where are the priorities? They're not taught priorities.
It's not that they're not taught priorities. It's just mom and dad are so busy trying to put a roof over their head, and they're out running around doing whatever they want. They're getting whatever they want from their mom and dad. And they're not taught to respect what they have.
And not only that, but to respect themselves, to have a job, to get the money, to be a productive member themselves. They don't have that self-assertiveness. They don't have, there's a word I'm looking for in particular, but ambition, self-ambition.
No.
And
they have ambition, all right.
Well, it's misguided.
Video games, drugs, alcohol, sex.
Yeah.
Latest styles.
But now getting back, and I would like to get back to this one, getting back to the school board. After the Pledge of Allegiance, there was at least 30 to 40 minutes of them handing out, and they do this at every school board, by the way, in America, I'm sure does this, but they give themselves awards. They're called the Dragon Excellence Awards in Cameron. And they give themselves awards. The teachers giving themselves awards. And it's just ridiculous. And then when they get up there, they pat themselves on the back about what a great job they're doing.
So they're giving away participation awards.
Pretty much. But, it amazes me that every single, not one of them have ever gone up and said, you know what, we're having problems in classroom attendance.
Yeah.
We're having problems in this, that, and the other thing. One teacher actually touted all of these new teachers that have come to Cameron having master's degrees. which tells me would I want a teacher with a bachelor's degree or a master's degree? Right now, I'd rather have a teacher that doesn't even have a degree because they're indoctrinated themselves and they're pushing that indoctrinated agenda through the studies in the classroom.
I have two sister-in-laws that are teachers, and both of them have their masters. One of them has their doctorates, and neither one of them are teaching now because of all the crazy no child left behind agenda that the government's pushing. They push to achieve the test, but they don't want them to educate. They don't want them to be a physical presence in the classroom to where, you know, they can make a difference in a child's life. It's get them to where they can pass the test. And that's it. A, B, C, D. That's it. Multiple choice. No reason, no logic, no critical thinking. Here's the answers to the test. Learn the answers to the test. Take the test. Okay, you passed. You get to teach another year.
And I'm going to say those ladies are probably in their late 50s to 60s.
They're about my age.
Okay. Yeah, they're our age. Our age.
Yeah.
And so I would say they're probably very disappointed at what's going on today.
Oh, yeah.
To when they first
when No Child
started
Left
teaching.
Behind was brought into action, they come home and I heard both of them say, you know, this is going to be bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
But when the students can come in and they can just jump on the teacher, and the teacher is not even really allowed to defend themselves because you can't hit a minor.
Right.
Not even to fight them off. Can't lay a hand on them.
Tell you what, some of the teachers I had, if I could, I mean, seriously, when I say I had my ass beat.
So did I. It didn't make me a bad person. It made me a more respectful person to people in authority. And that's the thing that our educational system is taken out of our school system, is the respect for the person in authority.
Yep. And because they don't have the respect, of course, for that person, it all starts again, in my opinion, it starts with them lacking the self-respect and dignity of behaving and presenting themselves in such a way that they should be doing so,
Yes.
you know, as children or young adults.
It's like you were saying that they give them all awards.
Mm-hmm.
That's the Attaboy Awards for, hey, you made it another month.
Pretty much.
You're still here. Here's an award.
I was in the laborers union of 663, 1290, and 264 out of Kansas City, and we had to take classes, safety classes, and you would not believe, and it's sad. These are grown men. Some of them couldn't even hardly read.
Oh yeah.
And then on top of that, when it came to the test, it was they're going to pass the test because they actually gave us every single question, told us what the answer was. And so really, oh, and by the way, open book. You could put the answers right there and just, it was a farce. It was a joke.
When I took my written driver's test, it's 100 questions for my commercial license. They had 3 different tests. They made me take all 3 of them because they thought I was cheating.
Wow.
100% on every one of them.
Wow.
They said there's no way you could have all the answers to 3 different tests.
Wow.
But that I was raised in the industry. I helped my father take the same test. I helped him study. So I already knew it. Then when I went to truck driving school, and yes, people, I had to go to school. I had to do my time. And I started at the bottom, worked my way up. My dad was my instructor after I got my license. I learned from the best. 38 years.
And I would imagine because it was your father, he probably did, and I'm going to say this to you, he was probably not only a little bit more difficult or harder on you, but it was because, if anything, he wanted to make sure his baby girl, was going to be safe on the road.
The day we put my bags in his truck, and we got in the truck, and I got behind the wheel, he looked at me and he says, "I'm going to make you, I'm going to break you."
It's pretty good. And you obviously
And I
made
took it as a personal challenge.
Yep. And that's the whole thing, when
because if you want something, you're going to work twice as hard for it.
Yes. And that should be the same way what's called a reward and punishment. In
Yes.
school, when you pass a test, you get that grade.
Mm-hmm.
There shouldn't be any of this. Well, because you have pink hair, I'm giving you an extra 10 points on the test. And I know you know where I'm going with that. We're not silly. But we can't allow.
Because you stayed awake during the class, I'll give you an extra 15 points.
Yeah. And be it that it's your skin color or your sex.
Yeah.
You can't rely on your skin color and your sex.
Yeah.
You've got to rely on your own skills and talents.
That's absolutely true.
And so these kids in the school, they're not getting a quality education anymore.
No, they're not. They are taught to take the test. That's it. The test, the state and federal test. That's it. That's all they're taught. You got to pass the test.
And have you ever dealt with the new mathematics? You have grandchildren.
I have seen the new mathematics. I can't make heads nor tails of it. I just go through and I do mine right quick and hand them the answer. And they're like, "How'd you get that so fast, Mama?" "Oh, math."
And you know what? I actually have a friend of mine that had a student, a child who was learning math the new way.
Mm-hmm.
And he turned around and said to his child, "No, this is the way you do math." When his child did that so easily, by the way, and picked up on it much easier, when he went into the classroom and did it that way, the teacher was mad at the kid for doing it our way.
That happened with my oldest grandson.
Oh, really?
Yes, here in Missouri. I taught him my way of doing math. He was doing it that way. He went to school, and the teacher said, "No, that's wrong." He says, "But I can't get the right answer." "We don't want you to get the right answer. We want you to get an answer." Let that one sink in.
An answer. So basically, an answer could be
anything
any
can be
number.
put down there, but he had to show how he thought he'd come up with that answer.
Oh gosh, it sounds like they are purposely trying to.
They're dumbing our children down.
Yes.
They're dumbing our grandchildren down. Grandparents, I'm telling you, get involved. Go to your school board meetings. You might not have a child in school, but you have a grandchild in school. Get out there. Watch what's going on. Get involved.
Yeah, and you can take that information, being a grandparent, by the way, with no kids in school, attending the school board meetings. You can actually go back to your daughter or your son or your children and tell them what was going on or what is going on.
Yeah, they may be working shifts that they cannot personally attend. You need to be there. You need to be taking notes.
Yes.
Because nowadays it takes both parents to work to keep the household together. And if they're a single parent like my daughter, it's almost impossible.
Do you remember what a money clip was?
Yes, I do.
Do you know what an empty money clip is?
Broke.
Yeah, Bidenomics.
Bidenomics.
It's Bidenomics. You just went into our next part of the conversation, which is how are they supposed to be able to manage the household with the kids and still be able to go to school board meetings or to city council meetings?
It's hard. It's really, really hard.
And you have to basically adjust your life.
I suggest that parents get to know their children's friends and try to network. So this is what we did in Mississippi when my kids were coming up down there. If one parent couldn't be there, somebody else could be there, and we call the other parent and tell them what was going on. So that the parent that wasn't able to be there knew what was going on.
Gotcha.
We networked.
And you know, my grandmother used to say rubbing elbows. This was networking
Yeah,
right
that's
here.
it.
You rub elbows with people.
Sort of like turn signals, the original instant message.
Yes. And the thing is, nowadays, the elbow rubbing or getting to know people, sadly enough, is through the phone. I mean, uh, social media. Well, we could go many different rabbit holes on that one, but you're looking at kids needing to be kinder to one another, and that's the whole thing. How come they're not kind is beyond me.
Because high school and junior high and elementary have always been like the Amazon basin of Parai. It's a jungle out there, and children are vicious to each other. But parents don't know how vicious they're being to each other until you have all these mental issues coming back. Henceforth, school shootings by other students.
Yeah, we never had kids growing up.
We never had. We just.
It was never a thought in our mind to go get a gun. It was always.
I went to school. I had a gun rack in the back of my pickup truck. I had a gun back there. I would go hunting after school. Never once did I ever think about taking that gun out and hurting one of my classmates with it. If I had an issue with my classmates, we just went to Fifth City and just slugged it out and came back better off friends.
Yep. I can't see you doing that, though.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
And why would that have been, if I may ask?
That was back in the 80s. I'm a Gen X.
Okay.
Full-fledged Gen X. But you know what? We didn't have to go to those lengths unless it was just really, really bad.
Right.
Because we all knew the lines of our fellow classmates. Because at some time or another, we've had bumped heads.
Yeah.
And sometimes noses.
Well, that's the whole thing, you know. I don't. How are children, and let's face it, I'm going to talk about myself for a moment. I had a bad temper growing up.
Mm-hmm.
Nasty. I got into fights. I know you guys can't believe this, but I actually had a big mouth.
We would have never thought that.
But, well, thank goodness. I never lost all my teeth. I haven't had a broken nose. I'm good for that. No cauliflowered ears. But seriously, I got into fights all the time. And sometimes you had to have that fight to release that negativity.
It's not that you had to have the fight to release the negativity. You had to know where the line was.
Right. So someone wouldn't cross mine or I wouldn't cross theirs.
That's right.
Yeah.
But now there are zigzag lines, parallel lines, obtuse lines, invisible lines that nobody knows about.
And that's true because everything is now in school has gone to social emotional learning. SEL is a new thing, by the way.
Yes.
And I'm going to say this with the SEL, you know, had this group of people in Cameron not brought this to light, all of this would still be going on.
Absolutely.
And that's just it. It's taken a few people to stand up with backbone, common sense, self-respect, knowledge,
and love.
Lots of love. To step up and say, you know what? This is wrong. And again, I'm going to say this. Had Heath Gilbert and Dan Landy and so many others not stepped up, all of this would still be going on today. And 5 years from now, God only knows what we. Yeah, exactly. I read an article a couple days ago about a boy in North Kansas City who was elected the homecoming queen. And the author of this piece was like, wow, who would have thought in Missouri that, you know, you would have this situation with a boy being elected as a homecoming queen, right? And I had to respond to that journalist, Jonathan Jones of the Western Journal, through the Federalist Papers, this was put on. I had to respond to him and say, Hey, dude, guess what? A girl beat that dude out last year. In Cameron, we had a girl, Natalie, also known as Arthur. She beat out the boys, the rite of passage to be a homecoming king. So, it's happening everywhere.
It's insane.
And Missouri, as I said, this Arthur was this writer reporter was like, I can't believe this has happened in Missouri, dude. It happened a year ago. Come up to time, and it's happening all across the nation.
Yep, it is. I mean, it really is. And our streets are becoming lined with teens and young adults that cannot function or fit into our society as it is.
Well, a lot of them, I don't think,
and
have
Kansas
the social.
City's a prime suspect. I mean, it's just all over the place down there.
It's social behavior.
It is
or
social
a lack
behavior,
of social behavior.
but the thing is, they can't function in modern day society.
What do you attribute that then to?
Our educational system sucks, folks. I just tell you, it sucks.
I've been saying I'm going to run for governor, and I am. But the first thing I would take care of in Missouri would be the law. I would back the police, give them cameras, everything
They
that they
have cameras.
need.
Most of them have cameras.
But they all would, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Every law enforcement agent would have them. That would be number one. And of course, funding them, not defunding them. The second thing, of course, is going after the politicians who are not doing their jobs. They're not living up to their oath of office. You and I spoke briefly about the Constitution earlier.
Yes.
If they're not doing their jobs in their oath of office to the constituents of their area, their district area, what have you, I think they should just be removed.
Well, I think we need to give a constitutional test for anyone thinking about running for public office so that people will know about the public rights of each individual. Because that's the thing. New Mexico's governor. I did get it right, Chad?
Yes.
New Mexico?
New Mexico.
She has no clue about the Constitution.
And that's scary.
That she's violating everyone's civil basic rights.
Well, it was said on a lot of social media. When I first heard it on the news, I flat out said she needs to be impeached. Because if you don't know, as a governor, your basics of your Constitution, and that really is one of your basics.
Yep.
That's like we know that we're allowed to form a militia against terrorist, foreign and domestic, and those rights cannot be infringed. Shall not be infringed. But that's like, and we need that now more than ever to survive in this world. Right now, folks, I have my 45. Sally would tell you, yeah, that's your daughter's name too. And I'm also thinking of my grandmom. Yeah, her birthday passed. I forgot to take a shot of Irish whiskey. I hate whiskey, but no, I keep my sidearm close by.
And I don't have a problem with it. You know why I don't have a problem with it?
Why is that?
Because you never know what malicious misfit is going to pop up to do you ill harm.
And it can happen anywhere.
You need to be able to defend yourself. Me, I'm not here with my firearm. I'm not allowed to carry a firearm in my semi. Therefore, I have a dog. Don't worry about the dog. You worry about the owner, because I don't have to have a firearm. I have other means to protect myself. But you know what? I feel absolutely 100% safe sitting here with Vincent with his firearm at arm's reach.
That's the thing, folks. It's knowing the people that you're surrounded by, trusting them, believing in them, and really knowing them or feeling that you're comfortable with. And I actually have several women friends and several buddies of mine that both conceal and open carry.
Yeah.
And when we're in a group together, it kind of, it's like the Cowboys of the West.
Yeah.
But no one even focuses or pays attention to any of that. And yet nowadays you've got to pay attention, because if it's in a person's holster, it's a safe place. It's when they walk into a Walmart or into a Target and they've got it in their hand through the parking lot in a rifle in their hand. We know they're not going out to hunt deer that day.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Firearms is not about hunting. Hunting is a sport nowadays. And if you're a poor person in the country, it's a means of life. It's a necessity.
Mm-hmm.
Do you need an AR to go hunting? Only if you can't shoot the broadside of a barn. Sorry. Target practice. Do it.
Well, actually, you can. I mean,
You're not going to have anything left but a bunch of gut shot meat, and it's going to suck because the intestines going to bleed out into the deer through the adrenaline, and it's going to ruin the entire deer.
Well, that's why you should learn when you're hunting. That's why you should learn how to dress it right there out in the field and carry back what you're taking and leave the rest behind.
That's right.
You
I
know?
mean, but still, you don't need an AR to go hunting. You carry an AR in case you have a home invasion and you are outnumbered, like the guy who had to shoot through the wall because there's 5 guys, individuals outside of his front door with ARs that were trying to break in to rob him.
Mm-hmm.
He shot through the wall. Of course, he needed that. He was outnumbered and outgunned.
Right.
The only thing that was protecting him at that point was a door.
Well, you made
and
a
his
good
gun.
You made a point about being, and truck drivers, it's against the law.
Yes.
Really hate actually saying this loud, if you get what I'm saying, the internet. I don't want any of the brothers and sisters out there driving trucks being compromised, to me, I think it's ridiculous that you can't. What is the reasoning for that, do they say?
Road rage.
Truckers? Really?
We have so many military people that are trained with the firearms. And we have a lot of people who are just absolutely nutcases in these trucks. And they get pissed off, whether it's from PTSD or just being a narcissist. They don't want us carrying guns because we have the higher advantage and we can shoot down into a car.
Wow. I've never even given any of that a thought. I never thought of any of that. Well, then maybe perhaps it is best, but I do remember there was that fella out in LA during the Rodney King situation that was yanked out of his tanker. I think he was driving a tanker.
Yeah, he was driving a tanker. Rodney
His
King
name is Terry, maybe?
No, it was Rodney. He got snatched out and beat mercilessly.
Yeah. And it's sad that road rage can be like that. I actually watched a piece or read a piece this past week as well about a gentleman. Let me rephrase it, use a different word. About an animal who was driving a Tesla. So you would think that this animal that's driving a Tesla, and I'll justify the animal in a moment, folks. You would think that he'd have some kind of decorum, a status that he wouldn't behave as such. But would you believe he would get out of his Tesla with a steel pipe and beating the hell out of people's cars, headlights, windshields, windows?
And that's the people they don't want carrying
a sidearm.
A sidearm.
Yeah. A firearm, yeah.
I do see the need. And I'm really going to piss a lot of people off. But mentally unstable people do not need to own firearms.
So is there some kind of a test that they can put an individual through?
There should be.
There should be.
There should be. But it shouldn't be up to one person to throw a red flag on somebody just because they have a moment of weakness. You know, there needs to be an evaluation.
Gotcha.
A long evaluation before you should be licensed to have a firearm.
Yeah, I would agree with that because, and I always talk
But
about the
criminals-
psychology.
Well, criminals.
Criminals are going to get anything.
They're going to get it anyway.
They steal
They
it.
will go steal it from a law-abiding citizen.
And that's where a lot of the guns come from on the street.
That's
They're
right.
stolen. It's not like they bought the gun and decide to, go from being a good citizen, a civilized citizen, to an animal in this case.
This is true. Well, they act like animals sometimes.
Well, I did call that guy an animal because he ended up with 5 years in prison, by the way.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, he had several arrests, 36 years old and driving like a moron. I mean, literally driving like an idiot and using a pipe. And then I got to thinking about that. Let's just hypothetically say this guy had in fact killed a person with that pipe. Are we going to start outlawing pipes?
I don't know.
Lengths of pipe?
If we do that, Chad and I talked about this last night on our show. We're going to have to outlaw cutting grinders for the father who cut his son and murdered him in Florida.
Yeah, I remember. That was only a couple
in
weeks
his
ago.
own.
And he was out on. He was stretched out on meth, though. That's for sure. Yeah, his father was messed up big time.
Well, he's wanted in 5 or 6 states. Had a extradition warrant in South Carolina, but South Carolina says, "Oh, you've got him. You just keep him."
Yeah, so long as he's not here, it's not our problem.
That's right. He's not on our budget.
And that mentality is at the school board.
Yes.
And the school board in Cameron that I've had to deal with, it's that mentality of, don't worry, trust us to take care of everything for you.
And it's like some educators, they come up there. I have a master's and doctorate degree in childhood development. I am more qualified to raise your child than you are. Bullshit. I really hope we're running at an NR-17 right now because I'm sorry. You may not have a child. You may not have gone through the 9 months of carrying the child and bringing this child into the world. You don't know that child, the way they act, the way they think, the way they breathe, what they eat. I mean, you can put babies into a nursery and have 1 or 2 caregivers that do not pay the children the emotional support and attention that they need. Just because you have a degree in childhood development doesn't mean that child's going to come out well.
No, because it's a lot of it has to do with there's an a proverb, I believe it is, or a quote, but it's like you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. Even with a child, you can put a child in the classroom, but you can't make them think.
You can't make them learn.
Yeah, you can't make them learn.
You have to know how to deal with that child on an individual mentality.
And I always go with, your child best as far as whether they're going to be mechanically inclined to use their hands or if they're going to be mentally inclined to use their minds, maybe, and what their interests are. Yeah. And of course, a kid's interest is going to change like clockwork.
Well, you're going to know whether your child's going to be a right-hander or a left-hander, or they're going to be ambidextrous and use both.
Yeah. But the thing that I'm getting at is if you can work on that child's strength and reinforce what that child says, hey, I really like this. If you can gear that child and get them to like it, then they'll learn to like other things that they didn't think that they would like. Let's just use a sport. A kid says, I want to learn soccer. Next, you know, he's really good at soccer, so on and so forth.
Yep.
But then he says, you know what? I want to try rugby, which is kind of like soccer, but they're big at difference. It's a lot more physical, but he wants to get aggressive. So now he's going to actually open himself up to trying a different sport. And just like sports kids going through sports saying, well, my kid's going to be a great baseball player. You put a bat in his hand, the last thing you want him to do is swing a bat. He just doesn't have it. But you put a hockey stick in his hand, and he can really do well with a ball on street hockey or a puck on the ice. Yep. You know, and it's always about building on those strengths of a child. And I used to tout, I never had kids. Remember that. Yeah. I told everyone, no, I don't have a dog in a fight.
Now you got a dog in a fight.
I've got a wonderful, wonderful dog in a fight. But, you know, I lost out on so much, but at the same time, it's uncanny. It's ironic. It's unbelievable. It's unfathomable. But he and I have so much of the disciplines and principles that are so aligned. And thank goodness he's not the type that will ever end up in prison for doing really anything that I can tell. Well, yeah, nowadays it can happen. Yeah, nowadays I guess.
Nowadays, liberal standings, a good person can wind up in law just in jail because of their goodness.
Well, a lot of them will do that, and again, you know, they can do evil things. Why is it that the liberals want to take that evil, hateful approach? Do you think? Are they do they hate their lives so much?
I can tell you in a doctoral way, we're getting close to the end times, sir. We're getting close to the end times. And scriptures always said that the meek shall inherit the earth. That the evil is basically there. And, you know, it's a necessary evil. We have to endure certain things in life.
Well, you learn from your heartaches.
Yes.
You learn from your mistakes.
Yes.
And life is really, and I'm just going to say it, and maybe I'm wrong. I think if I had to give a description of life, life is just a big lesson.
It's not a box of chocolates, that's for sure.
Well,
the evil people of the world are a necessary evil for each of us to learn where our boundaries are, where our morals stand in life.
So, with the lack of, and I'm going to really probably rock the world of a few people that are listening, and I hope to. I think you guys know I like to do that little shocker. I'm not one to ever really push, for instance.
Ooh, look at all those comments.
Yeah. Ruth, how are you? I'm just now coming here.
Janie?
All right. Right on. You know, when you're.
Hey, Cindy, how are you?
Oh, wow. There's a lot of people on here. Thank you for coming in. You know, I'm going to go out on the edge here a little bit, but they're putting pornography in schools. We can all agree on that. We've seen it nationwide.
Yes, they are.
And yet they've taken the Bible, the Quran, and the Torah. And for those of you that don't know the other two, the Torah is the Jewish Bible and the Quran is the Muslim Bible. And right now we have in this country large sections in cities of groups of Muslims, Jews, Christians. I'm thinking right now, Detroit is completely on my mind.
Even where, you know, Kimberly and Dakota live down around Houston. Yeah, there's huge communities of them.
And yet, through history, there's always been a lot of warring among the Christians and the Muslims and the Jews. We know that. Yeah. It's not a wonderful part of history of our world cultures, but it is true. You know, religious wars. But you know, right now, have you seen where they're actually locking arms together? The Muslims, the Jews.
Michigan,
Yep.
Michigan, they won't want this messing being taught to their kids. They don't
So
want their kids going to school and the teacher saying, you know, I really think, you know, you're a little girl today, and she's talking to a little boy.
yeah,
Oh, well, you want to be a little girl all the time? Well, here, we'll take you to the school nurse and we'll give you these medicines, and you can be a little girl all the time without the parents knowing this.
that's the whole kicker. And you know, in California, there's a judge that just passed a ruling that the parents don't need to be told.
That's right.
Knowing I have a son now, and had I had a child, raising it from day one in my life, I have to honestly say that would not fly with me.
It didn't fly with me.
No. The father in Virginia, he was recently pardoned by Governor Youngkin for the felonious BS that this prosecuting attorney was throwing on the guy.
Yeah.
So he clears his name. Believe it or not, the prosecuting attorney attempted to still charge or give him more charges. It's like, when are you going to know your place or your role? And again, I digress to the fact that with the Constitution, if you're an elected official and you're not serving your oath of office properly, you've got to be removed because you're not helping. You're not helping. Here in our area,
Yeah.
we have Dean Van Schoik,
Yes.
who is our state representative. And his wife and his daughter are both teachers. And we've reached out to him. I've reached out to him since February about this topic at the Cameron School, which is in his district. The biggest city, I believe, in his district is Cameron, I believe. I may be wrong. But he told our group that he spoke with Matt Robinson, the superintendent, and he likes the way Matt Robinson's handling this. And yet we have caught Matt Robinson and so many others in so many lies, in so much deception. How is it that this man that represents the community won't reach out to the community? Would you rather talk to Dean Van Schoik or just take his word that the superintendent's
I'd
his
rather
buddy?
be talking to the man.
I think that's what we need to do.
I think you do.
You know, we you know, you guys, we podcast. Sally's been doing this how long now?
2 years.
I'm probably just a little over 2 in May.
Yeah, I think you're about 3.
Yeah. And you know, I got to tell you, I don't know why it would be so difficult for a governor, for a mayor, for even just a city council person.
Yeah.
Be it the building codes people, the financial, just to get on weekly or once a month on the internet in their town and say, hey, you can actually talk to your representative right now.
Yeah.
And find out, and that person, he or she should be letting, by the way, I say he or she because that's it. There are no others. No furries.
You can't have any of them but without one of them.
That's true.
And that one can't produce by itself. I'm sorry.
Yeah, we can't split ourselves like an amoeba. It doesn't work that way. But, you know, I don't know why, with all this technology now, why it almost doesn't become like Trump tweeting. No one, I personally, I loved every single one of his tweets. Even the ones I didn't like, I loved.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes he's just a guy you love to hate.
Yes. And, you know, he was the first president, the first public official that I'm aware of that took it to the streets that day.
Yeah.
And said it that hour on his mind. And, you know, if you can't embrace, accept, find some kind of honor for that kind of a person that's willing to just put it out there.
Yeah. It's a forthright communication that needs to be in every community, in every state, in every branch of our government, because it's full and it's wholesome.
Yeah.
It's called communication, people. Communication.
And it's within your communities.
Yeah.
It starts
here.
It starts here. Yep. It does.
It really does.
We can't I was listening to an interview with Oliver Anthony, and he was really made a lot of sense when he said, these people are 500 miles away from you. They're 1,000 miles. They're across the country. All these representatives. And
it doesn't matter.
Yeah, but the thing is, they could do this right here.
That's right. Marjorie Taylor Greene does it.
Oh, she does?
Yes,
okay.
She does. I've seen a lot of her town halls. Ted Cruz does it.
That's true. They are beginning to do the town halls for sure. Yes.
Mark Gates does.
Yep. Morgan Luttrell.
Morgan Luttrell. Big shout out to him.
Yeah.
There are so many people that are in public office that are being attacked and being chastised and raked through the coals for being open and forthwith information about what's going on.
Oh, we need to check what you just said, forthwith, the information.
Yes.
That's called transparency. They now put a label on that. I mean, you know.
It was one of those big words I hope the left wouldn't know.
Yeah, it amazes me because, well, I've been sworn not to, and I won't ever say it again. But I have a word. It's called prejudice. That is an ugly word. Joe Biden's prejudicial as they come.
Joe Biden suffers from old man white syndrome.
Do what?
Old white man syndrome.
Oh, okay.
He came in the 50s and the 60s. He's been in office almost as long, probably longer than I've been alive. He was back in the good old boy days when, there was segregation.
Yeah, in the mid-70s, he was
in the states that promoted the Jim Crow laws.
Yep. Yes.
As a matter of fact, the first one is
Robert Byrd.
Right up there with him.
Robert Byrd is who I'm thinking of, the Grand Wizard, the Cyclops.
The Grand Poopah.
Yeah, Grand Poopah. But yeah, so you got Joe Biden right now. What is your take with what's going on with all this?
He's a neo-Nazi. I'll just say it. I don't care. He's a neo-Nazi supporting a war in a neo-Nazi country.
And a lot of people think about this
that
war.
Uses Telegram to communicate, folks. If you're on Telegram, get off.
But we do know that Ukraine has
neo-Nazi armies
and factions within that are actually hurting the people of Ukraine, the citizens.
Go, Cindy. Love you, girl.
Yes, Cindy. Long time, girl. I like talking to her. We have some good conversations, actually.
She was my daughter's band director.
Really?
Yes.
Right on.
Back in Mississippi. I love this lady. She's right up there, top notch.
I didn't know that I
used to help her with the band. I was a band booster.
Mm-hmm.
And matter of fact, we had a mutual enemy.
Right.
That I didn't mind calling out. So there you go.
I'm all going to, here we go. Yep.
So, Cindy's top notch. I love you, girl.
Sue the union, sue the teachers, sue the schools. And that would be, and she, of course, Ruth is speaking about Dearborn, Michigan.
Yes.
And, that would be my third thing that I would try to do as a governor, which is dissolve the NEA.
Yeah.
Scratch the NEA.
The school boards needs to go back to the community, not the state, not the federal government. Education. Yep. Yeah. They mess up everything when they touch it. These are our schools, our communities, our children's education, And we, the parents, need to be working with the schools and the teachers in the schools to be a formidable educational system.
And you're right. And I've been very inundated in the particularly past several months, and for another reason, which folks, in about 2 weeks, I'm going to be completely unfiltered again. That's all I'll say about that. But in the meantime, I've had to kind of kick back and my friend Chad, our friend Chad,
Yep.
Ruth,
Yep.
Cindy, Sean, and the list goes on. Dean,
Joe, Dean.
I mean this. I've not been able to be my normal self at the moment. And I've had to step away from really reaching out to people on Facebook regularly like I was, because I've been so tied into this.
Well, it's like this. Folks, President Trump's not the only one being attacked. People who stand up and speak their minds, speak their opinions, are being attacked every day. He's being attacked.
Yeah.
Just like President Trump is. So the left will stop at nothing to try to silence us. It's all in the verbiage. They will use any means necessary to try to scare you into submission. Do not comply.
Don't comply.
Learn the basics. Learn your rules. Learn your rights. Take a constitutional class. But stand up for yourself. Stand up for your children. You are your first line of defense when it comes to your children. People like Vinzent and Dean and Dan Landy and other parents that are fighting in the Cameron schools to get the pornographic materials removed or sheltered some far away out of our children's reach and not being coerced into being made to read them. Folks, we need to be standing behind these people who are standing up.
And you said something very cool, very good there. There are other ways.
There are other ways.
They could take those books, and Heath Gilbert, bless his heart, and I mean this, I can't say enough. You guys are going to hear from Heath again real soon, I guarantee you.
Yeah.
Heath Gilbert is the spearhead
Yes.
of this. I consider myself one of his shadows. But the bottom line is this. He's taken a lot of flack. People are coming around. But had he not done this, he was willing, and he is still willing to work with the school to say, hey, collect all the books. Let's look at what's on the list. Collect all the books, put them in a room. And if a teacher comes into the office and says, I want All Boys Are Blue to be recommended reading this week, then that book really doesn't belong in the normal library. That's when all the parents are contacted. Are you okay with your son reading this book, or your daughter?
That's right. I mean, if the book contains
simple solution,
the material, the parents need to be notified and say, okay, is your child approved for this or not?
Yep. And the thing is, a parent does know the maturity level of their kids. And some parents don't. Oh gosh, I don't want to say they're not normal, but they live a different life. There you go. Live a different lifestyle. Maybe it's two men, maybe it's two women. But either which way it goes.
Even I'm going to say this because I know gay parents. I know lesbian parents. And I know that they're raising children. They don't want their children indoctrinated into this lifestyle. They just don't want it. They want their children to remain innocent and as wholesome so that they can determine who they are as human beings.
They've got to find themselves. The kids have to find themselves
That's right.
on their own to a degree, but they need the
But
leadership.
they don't even want these books in there.
A lot of children don't, surprisingly.
And big shout out to the LGBT communities that are standing up and saying, no, get it out of the schools.
If you're not,
we're not indoctrinating.
Yeah, if you're not familiar with GAG, it's Gays Against Groomers.
That's right.
There are gay people, flat out. They don't want this for the kids at all. It's and really they would come out and say across the board, it's a TQAI1 plus or something. It's all the others.
It's the rest 70 of the alphabet.
The 70 genders. It's the other 70 genders because there's either a man or a woman, and either it's a man together, or a woman together, woman together, or a man woman together.
So
and
there's 68 confused people out there who don't know whether to.
And maybe we should go into it and look at that. It's more of the relationship thing, but no. Getting back to it.
Oh, that made my head hurt.
Oh, I didn't mean to do that. I've got aspirin. No Tylenol though. No. But no, the thing is, the Gays Against Groomers. I've been trying to reach out to them for months, wanting to bring a representative on. I have questions. They have answers. And I think to get David Leatherwood, to be exact, to watch that man in Florida, I think he was at the time, shot down in 45 seconds to 50 seconds. Please, can we get this to land? Can you bring this in for a landing? Is what the school board was saying to him when he was wanting to talk about his concerns, his grievances about pornography in the school and against the drag queens dancing and entertaining the kids. And I want him on this show. I really do. I would love to have him and have that conversation. Reach out to him. Get him on here. I've tried. I have tried. I'm going to hope that it will happen. But folks, seriously, the gays are even against this. And across the board, I'm not saying all gay people are against it, but most of them don't. They're raising kids themselves, some of them. Whether it's foster care or family foster care.
I have family members who are gay and lesbian. They just want to live a normal life.
Yep. I remember listening to Rush Limbaugh 30, 35 years ago, and he was talking about gay marriages. Out of the gate, I was like, you know what? If they're wanting to commit themselves and the one has a better job and the other one stays home, the other individual stays home. I don't mean to make it sound like one being an insignificant person, but one has a good job. The other one is stay at home working maybe. If the one that has a job wants to offer insurance to their partner, I believe they should be allowed to do that.
Yeah. And that's the whole issue about the right to be married is because they were having to purchase two different health insurance policies when they could have just bought
a
policy when they're together. And then if they wanted children, they had to buy a separate individual policy for those children too.
See, it doesn't make any sense.
Because they couldn't say, hey, this is my kid.
Well, and I also know that when it come to buying a house, they wanted to be able to buy the house comfortably together. An automobile, whatever it is.
There was a whole lot of legal aspects that they didn't have the rights for. And that's what the LGBT community was pushing for. And then the TQs jumped in and, it became a force to reckon with. They got those rights. And now they have just gone
batshit crazy.
Sparkle fuck crazy.
Sparkle. Did anyone catch that? I love it. I love it. What do we have here?
Yep.
I was gonna let you read that.
I had a sounder of about 20 hogs following me I didn't know it until I turned around. Scared the shit out of me.
I even when
It scared me too.
third mag. Oh gosh. What
Yeah.
else? What else? What do we have here? Just me a few years ago, I saw a reporter from Oklahoma go stay with a rancher with major hog issues. She changed her mind after seeing the hog damage and how effective it was. Boy, I'll tell you what,
Wild hogs are just absolutely just.
how are you doing, Shelly? I'm going to say this is Shelly. It may be Richie. Either which way, hello to both of you.
Hello.
No doubt. No doubt. Going back up and looking at some of these. Oh, thank you very much, Elisa. Thank you for that. We need to hear these words of praise, and of encouragement. For I mean, really, you're luckier than I am. Your home is in your truck. You're on the road. I'm kind of planted here. Can't get away quite easy if something were to
Hey,
go
look,
down.
I've been a glorified paid tourist for 25 years.
Oh, is that what that is?
Yeah, it's a paid glorified tourist. I get to go wherever I want, see whatever I want. I don't get to stay very long, but I can make plans to visit, like I'm doing now, seeing my daughter and my grandkids, and sometime I'm gonna get to go see my son and my grandkids down there. But there are some aspects of
It's Richie. All right,
being
Richie.
home.
All right, Richie. How are you doing, brother? Richie is with W.O. Entertainment on Facebook. Has a really good program. A lot of comedy. Yeah, a lot of fun. I like watching Richie's shows. If I get the moment, I do like to do that for sure. Because the thing is, and I'm gonna give you another shout out, Richie. The thing is, you bring humor. I wish I could do what you do. I don't bring too much humor. I'm almost
We're working on you.
Yeah, I know you guys are working on me, but I'm just real sarcastic. I'm real bitter about what I see because it's so simple to fix. The common sense.
Yeah, well, common sense is not common anymore.
Yeah. And so it's frustrating. I then go from sarcastic, bitter to frustrated, But Richie, seriously, WO Entertainment, folks, get a chance to watch Richie and his crew. Yeah. You will not be disappointed one bit. Trust me. In fact, a few of you here, just me, excuse me, I know who you are.
Hey, the charming clown.
I know who he is.
We know who he is.
You're welcome. You're definitely welcome, Richie. You're welcome. But no, we need more humor, and I like watching Chad. Your Chad. I can say your Chad. I like
him on Tuesday nights. He has a wife.
But no, they're together. They're together every Tuesday night on Truck It, and her Chad. I've got to tell you something. That man has turned me on to some wonderful podcast casters. There's LFR Family.
Yep.
There's the Hodgkin Twins.
Yep.
And well, you just did Dax last week.
Golly whiz. I wonder where y'all are getting these from.
Oh, is that you?
Yes.
Chad, you've made me think that was you.
Hey, the knowledge is spread.
Ooh.
The knowledge is spread. I've been following these folks for at least 10 years.
Oh, right on. Right on.
And,
a lot of them hadn't been around for 10 years, so.
Some of them haven't been around for 10 years, but a lot of them have.
Was that the Peanut Gallery?
Yeah. It just popped off.
I like the Peanut. He's cool. Anyway, no, I mean, Chad's turned me on. You've obviously have been an influence, but we've got to let everyone know there are other people to go listen to. There are other people to watch. Yeah, you can get the same kind of stuff, i.e. example, like with me, what I do or try to do. But the thing is getting the other perspectives.
It's variety.
Yes, the variety of cultures, the variety of ideologies.
Yes.
The variety of, even again, going back to WO Entertainment.
The variety of information.
Exactly. Yeah. Or of funny stuff, or the somber where you really want to learn something, because you can always go online and learn something serious or watch something funny. And a lot of these podcasters that I've, in fact, next week I've got Frank Lopez Jr. I've been running him across the bottom here. If you guys haven't heard of this man, I've got to tell you.
I'm going to tell you what, he is fabulous. He's been doing the South American immigration problem, especially down at the Gap. I mean, you really, really need to go over there and check out his channel and follow him. Be here next week for that interview. I'm going to tell you, you need to hear it.
I don't believe you're going to be disappointed because
I don't believe you will either.
He is a boots on the ground in Texas, all over Texas. And I mean, at the border and all over Texas. Am I right in saying that?
Yeah. He's all the way down in South America, down around Guatemala at the Gap.
Yeah. This man I want
to give a quick shout out to Kimberly Gillard. She's the one that turned me on to Frank Lopez 2.5 years ago when, we really started to face this.
And Kimberly, by the way, another again, I love getting the stuff that people send us or send me. I like to say us because I do always feel better about saying that because we are all kind of a crew.
We all work together as a team.
Yeah. But,
dysfunctional at times, but we work together as a team.
That's what makes it fun is the dysfunction. What do we have?
I don't know who you're talking about. Yes, you do.
But no, the information that you give us, sometimes we use it, sometimes it's a part of, sometimes we just take it in internally and share it out.
It's that nugget of truth that you find in it that you store away, and then one day you had that aha moment. This is where it's like a piece of a puzzle that you lost, that you're trying to find.
Yep. Yep.
It's that nugget of truth.
And with all the nuggets of truth that you're speaking of, by the way, it's amazing that I know for like myself, I try to always present the facts as I know them to be.
Yep.
I try to present material that's useful naturally.
Yeah.
That's what I want to do. But more than anything, to get people to interact, like right now, you guys are interacting in the comments section. You will make friendships. Believe me.
Yeah, you'll fast growing friendship.
And all you can do is share the stuff out, continue the conversation, and it's okay to be called a conspiracy theorist.
Well, especially when your conspiracy becomes fact.
And you're really right all the time. And they say, well, we're extremely right all the time.
Yeah.
I'm not a right extremist.
Alex
but
Jones has been right about 98% of the time.
Not
Glenn Beck.
Oh, Glenn Beck is another one.
He's a heavy hitter. If you haven't read his books, please do so. Over to Window, Agenda 21.
Yeah. The thing is, you anymore, you just can't get enough. And I have laid back literally for almost well over a month, pushing. 2 months. Yeah. And again, we do know personally, I can't speak about it, but I've had to really watch what I say.
Oh yeah, it's hard.
For the moment.
I just don't care.
And I'll be back in that saddle again, hopefully in about 2 weeks.
If we run the NR-17, I'll just tell you right up front, my give a damn's been broke so long, my give a fuck quit giving up trying to fix it.
I'm so glad you just take words like that right out of my mouth.
I'm telling you, folks, you get to the point in your life that,
Does he even have math? Well, yeah, I think his number is 0, just like he is as a president. He's a 0.
Oh, I thought she said meth. I would say, yeah, he has meth. We got the crackhead living with a crack pot. And the crack pot is taking advice from the crackhead.
Yeah, crackpot. Yeah. That's and seriously, I think we should touch on this.
That, folks. You need to be scared of that one. That's the truth.
And you need to pass it out to your family, your friends, your coworkers, whoever. If Hunter Biden's charges were given to you,
we'd have been under the jail.
We're already in jail. That's just it.
It would be worse.
Yeah. And he's and a 2-bit liar.
Yes, he is. Well, I mean, just like what he did to the folks in Maui. When we had the pandemic,
mm-hmm.
We all got stimulus checks. But then when we come to tax time, we had to pay that money back. And that was $700 per person in the household. We go over to Maui, we get $700 per house. Guess what? I'm going to bet my last dollar they're going to have to pay that $700 back in their EIC on their taxes. Just wait and see. There's more coming on that one, folks.
You can't survive on those, I guess.
I agree, sir.
I love you, man. Oh, yeah. This is going to be another one. Like a 36 grit paper. Ooh.
Yeah, that's kind of rough.
Yeah, very rough. Very, very rough. Very rough. You know, the thing is, Hunter Biden should be in jail.
He should be under the jail.
Yeah. And we do know what's going on and has been going on with the Biden corrupt criminal family.
Yes.
Do you see an an end game? And if so, what do you think the end game is going to be for the Democratic Party and all this that's going on with the Bidens?
The Democrat Party is running scared right now. They're scared because they don't have a viable candidate for president. They don't see they have. Now, Kennedy Jr.,
if they would warm up to him.
If they would warm up to him instead of trying to destroy him like they're doing Donald Trump because, he's not following the popular narrative for submission and domination of the American public. Yeah, they would have a standing chance, but they don't. And, people I keep hearing, on the net, they're trying to whisper King Jeffries. Well, that's Obama 2.0.
And we already know what Obama's done.
We already see what Obama's done.
Yeah. I mean, it's yet to be, and I'm going to say it like this, it's yet to be said that Obama was a train wreck of a president, but he really was. And then you look at what he created with Biden, which, really, Biden's not running this operation at all. He's not. Obama is running the White House right now as we speak. That's my feeling.
Biden is the godfather of mayhem.
Okay.
He's the godfather of mayhem.
Well, he's definitely caused a lot of division.
He set up and doing a public interview saying how he stopped an attorney from investigating Burisma by withholding federal funds from the country unless the attorney was fired. And I quote, and son of a bitch, they fired him. End quote. Folks, that's the godfather of chaos and mayhem.
I've been saying this for quite some time, but I feel like we're in the midst right now, even though it's not the same as what we experienced in 1863. I really do feel like we're in a major civil war. And in this case here, it's really going one of two ways. It's the good against the evil.
It's worse than a civil war. It really is. It's worse than a civil war.
How do you?
Because during the Civil War, they only had to deal with laudanum. Right now, we have a variety of drugs on the street, and more being shipped in. We not only have our doctors prescribing the barbiturates and the painkillers and whatever else you want to call them, mind-altering drugs. We have being pushed in through the border in backpacks of children too. Ask Frank Lopez about that. If you talk to other people who are actually going to the border, like Kat K-Mac, Ted Cruz, they're seeing the effects of human trafficking. We weren't human trafficking during the Civil War. Okay, they were trying to fight to end slavery, yada yada yada. I get it. Yeah, please do. Please do run for president. You're the wild card, the ace in the hole.
Go no labels.
But we are in so much worse than a civil war. We are in a social war.
Oh, I never even saw that
We're in a
correlation.
social war.
I like it. We are.
It's where the haves are trying to destroy the have-nots, or the people who are trying to just survive. I.e., Oprah and The Rock. Oprah is worth $3 billion. The Rock's worth $800 million. And they're establishing a fund asking us, the working class, to contribute to the victims of Maui when they could take 6 months of income and fix it.
Yep, they could just drop $20 million each, and that would be a heck of a nice start. What did he do? He's already laid out his agenda.
He did.
Well, yeah.
He did.
Social war, yes, 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 that's what it is. You know, Cindy, I saw you pop on her on that one. I had to read it, but yeah, it is. I never, and I
It's a
have not
social
thought
war.
of it
It's
as
not
such.
a civil war.
Yeah, yeah.
When we were in
Well, at
the
least
Civil
we're being
War,
socially. I mean, we're not really. It's not like every other person has a gun shooting and killing someone in a tree or around the building. That's good. Although we do have that in the cities.
and we have it everywhere.
Yeah, we do have too much blood on the streets.
It's a social war. It's a mentally taxing social war.
Okay, now I'm beginning to get the headache because you have my mind just spinning in so many directions. That's a good thing, by the way.
It's hell to think as deep as I do. I have hundreds of miles a day. I have 11 or 14 hours a day to think and reason and logic and look at everything from different angles.
You know, that's one thing I do miss about my life. I was in production. I think I told you that. So I would travel from city to city. I might be there anywhere between a week to, I might be there for 3 days up to maybe 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And once the set bill was done, it was a 4-day tear down on it, saying 2 weeks setup for a George Strait show would be a 4-day tear down. Everything was about a third of what it took to put up.
Yep.
But you know, the nice part about it was I traveled across the U.S. like yourself, and I'd go from Atlanta to Riverside, California, down to Houston, Dallas, up to, I don't know, Minneapolis. But what I'm getting at is a lot of times if I couldn't get a radio station, and I did enjoy listening to, by the way, Rush Limbaugh was a big part of my life. I'm a ditto head. Not ashamed to say it, not afraid to say it.
I grew up on Paul Harvey.
And Paul Harvey's another great orator. You know, I mean, those men really put things together in perspective. Yeah. And I'm sure Joyce Brothers, we have to give a shout out to Joyce because she had that column.
George Carlin.
George Carlin's another one. And he was more the humor side. Like I love George Carlin.
But he was blatant with the truth. He was so honest that he made it funny.
Yeah. But you know what I was wanting to get at is I miss those days that you have right now of traveling from one place to another and having that 10, 15, 20 hours to get somewhere and then to have those thoughts.
Yeah.
I realize now, and I keep notebooks, or I carry a notebook maybe with me because sometimes I'm thinking about something down the road and I want to write it down before I forget it. And there's nothing wrong with doing that, folks. You should do that.
Yes.
You know,
it's the nuggets of truth that you hear throughout your lifetime that help form a foundation for your mentality.
Thank you, Richie. And yeah, we should collaborate and do something soon. We really should. That would be really cool. Oh yeah. Yes. I have to tell you, we've got we've got a lot of things going on here. There's a nice little conversation. I just scrolled down.
Yep.
Heath was actually opening up to me earlier in February when we finally started letting things roll out with the school district. And I think it was I want to say it was the 14th of February.
Mm-hmm.
That I don't know, folks. Look it up on your calendar.
It was Valentine's Day. It was close.
And I think Heath actually did his show with Richie.
Yes.
On that day. You know, I mean, seriously, folks, think about this.
I think you're actually right about that.
I've got a pretty good egg upstairs. I was so impressed, and because I had Heath the next day, following Richie's show, and the camaraderie, the again, the flavor of humor, but the seriousness of what's going on. But you know, when you get people that want to inform,
yes,
you've got two options.
You believe him or not believe him.
You can listen or not.
That's right.
And you know, that's one thing I can say. I really have zoned in and met some fabulously incredible people. You know that.
Yeah.
I mean, and
just look at the circumstances and how we met.
Yeah, yeah. And sometimes you got to take that bittersweet chocolate and step away and go back to regular good chocolate.
Yeah.
You know, because you'll always make something good out of a bad situation.
Nuts in the damn chocolate.
Are we talking Mounds or Almond Joy? But no, you know, you got to take those bad moments sometimes that hit you, that strike you, that punch you, that hurt you, that brings you down, that depresses you, and you've got to turn it around.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes things are completely, and let's face it, would you not agree? When it's out of control, when you aren't in control of it, that's when you are hurting the most.
It's not that you're hurting, you're in limbo.
Yeah, and that hurts. For me, it hurts.
When I'm in limbo, it's like, what the fuck? Plan B, plan C, plan D.
If you have them. And that's where people don't have a plan B, C, or D. And you've got to figure that out.
You never take anything at face value.
Right. Right.
You sit back when you start smelling some stinky cheese, start looking for the unchewed foot.
You know,
because it might not be cheese you're smelling.
I was just thinking about two games that I love to play. Chess is one,
mm-hmm.
and pool is the other.
Mm-hmm.
And in both of those sports, I'm going to call them sports. In both of those sports, you have to think your second and third shot and your second or third move ahead. It's strategy. And life gives you those opportunities to strategize and prioritize.
Mm-hmm.
So getting back to what we were talking earlier about the children and how we need to encourage and work with their strengths, recognizing their weaknesses and letting them know it's going to be okay. Maybe you can't throw, i.e. example, you're ambidextrous, you can do this, that, the other thing, but maybe you can't throw the football with both hands.
That's right.
You're going to pick one dominant arm over the other or hand over the other.
Baseball, you either catch right or you catch left.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you're going to have to throw with the other hand.
Yep. And so, you know, it's always having that backup plan. And we've got to have this backup plan right now. In 2024, yep. We've got to make sure we've got the proper.
But what backup plan could we have in 2024 if the left is successful?
Well, I think there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be, believe it or not, you were talking about the AR-15s, and there were people with their guns guarding those boxes and saying to someone, you're not going to drop 50 or 100 in here. Ain't happening.
We got
in the drop boxes.
We got it shoved down our throats last election.
Yeah.
Because our nation was in complete chaotic limbo. We did not know what was going to happen. You know, it was just like Cindy says, it was nuts.
Yeah.
It was absolutely insane. So we need to have a backup plan, folks. And that's why I'm saying, I've looked at all the Democrats and all the Republicans up there. If they so happen to take President Trump out of the race, I will be voting for Kennedy Jr.
Well, the thing is, though,
But
a lot of people are willing to vote if they get Trump behind bars, hypothetically, if they were to, and I don't see that happening. If they were to, he'd be the first man in the United States history to get elected president behind bars.
if Trump can stay this out until he's elected, and he selects a running mate as a unification process,
That would be Robert John J.K. Yeah.
he needs Robert Kennedy Jr. as his VP.
Yeah.
How much salt is that going to pour in an open wound?
Oh, gosh, the Democrats would absolutely go berserko nutso on that one. And, actually, I had heard someone else, and we had discussed that, too. I discussed that very same topic.
There's only been, and I can't remember exactly, I think it was Truman. Don't quote me on this. Go look it up. There's only been one other Republican Democrat party that's occupied the White House.
I'll tell you what, that would be a wonderful. I'd like to see that game play out.
And it became a unification.
I'd like to see that actually play out as such.
Because, you have the Republican leader and you have a Democrat leader. They're right there.
Yeah.
Working together as they should be, as our forefathers constructed our nation to be led.
No. Didn't you hear Nancy Pelosi just last week say that the vice president is doing her job perfectly? She just doesn't have anything she has to do. She's doing nothing.
She's out of Haagen-Dazs, okay?
How can you turn around as the prior Speaker of the House, the previous Speaker of the House, disrespect an office of Vice President and say, really, it's a useless office and she doesn't have to do anything. And she's doing a great job doing nothing. What are they doing? Nothing. She actually said that. And if that's the attitude, folks, if that's the attitude of the Speaker of the House, I'm just going to say, God save the Queen. And hopefully she's up in heaven. That's a mockery against Joe, of course. Because seriously, can you imagine bosses having that same thought process with their companies? You've got a CEO, you got a CFO, you got a CEO. You've got all these people on the board, and guess what? None of these people do anything. Only the one person does.
That's
and
right.
Everyone else is morons. Right. The company's not going to last long. That's all there is to it. It just won't last long.
Oh, Cindy, are you talking about Carrie Lake? Or Marjorie Taylor Greene? Or Kat K-Mac? I'm betting you're thinking about Carrie Lake. Because if he was going to pick a female, that would be the one I pick. No? Okay.
He's going to pick the girl. I like it. The girl. Seriously, I kind of like what you're thinking.
Carrie Lake would be a good one.
Nikki Haley. But I don't think Nikki Haley. I don't think Nikki Haley's on his team, though.
Yeah, she is.
Nikki Haley is on his team. Yeah. Okay. There's someone recently that's a Republican, I believe. Might be an independent, but I think it's a Republican that's
look into that one.
Yeah, because it was kind of a shocker to me. Maybe I just heard it wrong. Hopefully that was the case. But folks, everyone says, and I'm sure people are probably beginning to think this. Oh, you guys are nothing but Trump supporters. Well, the man had everything.
I'm looking for alternatives. I promise you.
Yeah, if there is one, bring it our way.
I'm not going to be the one sitting out there. Well, I wish Trump had actually been able to run. I don't know what I'm going to do. No, I got plan B, plan D, plan C out the wazoo. I'm looking. I'm digging in backgrounds.
Sally, by the way, thank you. Now you've made me think about a political plan B, C, and D.
Yeah, I mean, we need to have those. And, you know, I'm not voting for anybody on the Republican tickets because, number one was a VP that is a traitor, and the others just couldn't cut the mustard.
Well, I guess I better get a plan B. If I don't get elected governor, I may have to. Maybe I'll see if I can get a job as a janitor at the house or something. I mean, I would be glad to be down there on that level.
Wasn't it you that was telling me, or maybe it was Chad that was telling me that they redid the dress code for Congress?
Oh yes, because of Fetterman.
Yeah.
Yep,
you can go in your sandals and your flip flops.
Wait a second. Now, I guess I could. But no, I wouldn't.
He's walking around in the sweatshirt, in his hoodie and shorts.
Yeah, he's an absolute embarrassment.
Oh my God!
And actually, there are 2 Fettermans.
Yeah, I know there's 2 Fettermans, but I'm talking about the one that.
Yeah, the one that's vegetable.
Was living in his mom and daddy's basement and won the election. I don't know how the hell that happened.
No, that's I beat.
It's all them damn basement dwellers that's voting.
There you go. Instead of the basement, I think I ought to try the attic.
Bats in the belfry.
There you go. There you go. Folks, we're about near the end here, it looks like. And I want to say thank you very much for joining us. And I mean that. Lurch. Oh, yeah. I love it.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, wait a second now. There are a few things here. Tim Scott would be a good running mate for Trump. I like Tim Scott, too.
I hadn't looked at that one too much. I'm going to have to look into that one.
What flowers in the attic? That sounds like is that a Nirvana song, Ruth?
I don't know, but I was thinking bats in the belfry.
Yeah, and she wanted to say attic. All right, folks, listen. Sally.
Yes, sir.
I want to say thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
This is, we've never done that. We've never even met.
Yeah, we've even got an audience behind you.
Yes, I've got a cat I have to let out. But I want to thank you for taking this time.
No problem, sir.
It was fun.
I've been dying to meet you for years anyway.
Well, I'm glad you didn't die doing it. I'm glad it didn't go to fruition. But no, everyone, I want to say thank you for joining us. Hopefully you got something out of it. You just met, again, we don't get to talk every day.
No.
We do talk once a week, maybe once every 2 weeks.
Once or twice a month.
There you go. And so even so, you have an hour conversation here, an hour conversation there. But sometimes we disagree. We've had that happen.
But sometimes we just respectfully agree to disagree on it.
There you go. And, really, if we can walk away or if we can leave the show in any other way, I think, why can't we just get along and be nice?
Yeah.
Be kind. Agree to disagree.
It doesn't have to come to a fisticuffs. It really don't. You just have to agree to disagree on some of the hard stuff till you can find that middle ground. And then sometimes in life, you just gotta say, truck it.
And in my case, I have to say, voraciously from the bottom of my heart, thank you for joining us. We love you. And I mean that. We do. We really do. And we're going to get on out of here because we've got to let my man Russell carry it.
The song is for all Americans. I just wrote this last night. Well, some say I'm troubled, some say I'm extreme. 'Cause I love this country and the American dream. And I'll let no politician tell me what to do. Yeah, I was raised country country with work on my hands. Well, you respect your neighbor and you respect the land. And I let no president tell me what to do. 'Cause my blood runs red, white, and blue. Yeah, my blood runs red, white, and blue. Yeah, Daddy taught me right from wrong. When to be humble and when to be strong. And I'll fight for freedom if that's what I must do. 'Cause my blood runs red, white, and blue. Now Papa's passed while I was off to war. And this country's changing, it ain't the same anymore. But I'll fight for freedom, yes, I'll fight for you.